wish you would slide down the banister, because we put a lot of effort into sliding down that banister. Come on, slide down the banister. I recommend any player who's in this room slide down the banister. It's much faster than walking.
Especially if you're 6 and you don't have terrible consequences when you hit the bottom.
You should not try that at home. Actually, kids, you should. You should go slide down the banister of your house right now.
Everybody's got to do it once.
Hello, Manny.
Hola.
I remember animating Manny sliding down the banister. And I remember Tim kept calling for something. He's got to look cool. And so I did that, and I don't think he was ever really happy with it. So I don't know. Apparently don't know what cool means.
You gotta put some Ray-Bans on him.
Yeah. I mean, Manny's a suave guy, but I don't know if suave guys slide down banisters. Maybe I should have done it slower.
Manny's music, the Casino Calavera music, that was a big moment for me doing the score, because it was done fairly early on, and it kind of it determined a lot of other stuff, just sort of stylistically.
Mm-hmm.
Get that sort of Gene Krupa thing going on in the beginning, and
Gene Krupa.
yeah, one of the great drummers of all time.
Peripas, 30, red. Mesdames et messieurs, faites vos jeux, s'il vous plaît. Ladies and gentlemen, please place your
Some people
bets.
say you should always walk away from the table when you're on a winning streak.
Oh, yes, but I'm feeling extra lucky tonight.
Oh, wow, I forgot about that mural. That was supposed to be
That's really good.
Oh, well, thank you. I did that.
Did you?
No, I did, but it was based on, like a Gustav Klimt.
Gustav Klimt,
But then I also did those really bad textures on the roulette wheels. But I remember Adam Schnitzer actually getting angry at me. He was like, "Don't paint light in the paintings."
Who got angry with you?
Oh, not really angry. I mean, he only
He
hit
probably
me.
felt the same way as when Tim said, Manny's not cool enough sliding down that banister. Just make it cool. Canadian animated.
What's that about?
That's now so not cool.
Manny!
Evening, Lupe.
I have to tell you about my new
Think she'll
me whatever.
Just
Yeah,
it's every
that is I get one.
How?
Wherever explain.
where? Oh,
Yeah, oh, that's so. Manny, I
Lupe?
don't
No.
come out. Don't.
Oh.
So these is like scenes are from the production of the game in a way, where Leslie would come to me like, "Look what I made. I made a chart of every single scene in the game, plus every single actor, and I coded it. Yellow means Manny's in it, and blue means this prop is in it." And she's so excited about these things that she did, and this character is doing the exact thing.
Yep.
You have to take things from your life and put them in your work, even though they don't read anything to anybody else.
Well, that just means work will be about life rather than life being about work, right?
Exactly.
This is gonna be an every.
I don't. As soon as
Well, good.
That's Kay Cuter, and Kay was, I don't know, late 70s, early 80s, and he had a big, long, gray beard.
Yeah.
And he was a raging smoker.
Oh,
and so
yeah.
you'd have to break him every 45 minutes,
Oh,
otherwise he'd start getting into a really bad mood. And on one of those one of those sessions, we were doing. He plays the croupier later on, where he speaks French and English. And it's just he delivers the numbers. We were behind on time, and so I sort of pushed him to an hour, and all of a sudden, I found myself in an argument with Kay over how to pronounce 20 in French.
Oh.
And so I was like, it's definitely time for a smoke break. On get out of here.
All right. Yeah? What? So if the and with the I get what job here? What's going on? Yeah. No,
This is where I had never heard of actual sea bees before, and someone made that. I talked about how they could be these bees down there, and they're like, oh, like sea bees, and I was like, what are sea bees?
Yeah, they were a Navy thing. Yeah.
And wait, does that come from the letter CB, like?
I don't know.
For construction brigade or something.
Yeah,
Have
good.
to look
Like
that up.
Jeep comes from general personnel vehicle. Yeah.
So
Could be.
and this bee is called Terry because of the character from On the Waterfront, Marlon Brando's character named Terry.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we got all that stuff.
That's Raphael Sparge, who he was actually the main character in Knights of the Old Republic in the original game. But Raphael is a big on-camera guy and hadn't really done a lot of voiceover. And there's a scene later on where he's addressing all of the workers. And the thing about Raphael was that he physically performs when he's in the studio.
Oh, right.
So as he was addressing the field, he kept on going off mic, and so the engineer's like, "Oh, we got to keep him on mic." And so I said, "Hey, Raphael, can you stay on mic?" He's like, "Oh, really sorry." We re-rolled, and all of a sudden his energy just went
Oh, interesting.
down, and so it just wasn't working the same way. So we
Yeah.
pulled out another 2 mics and put him out.
Oh,
so
that's
that,
great.
So that he could then go, "You are the fat cats of industry," and he could kind of move his head, and we
Yeah.
still caught it. And so then we just cut around the 3 tracks to get the
Oh,
final
that's
take.
so crazy.
Yeah. But he's a great actor.
Cold one, huh, Terry?
Yeah, it's always.
Who's the?
They're run by.
Hey, what? We.
All left.
What?
You. If we.
What?
Wait, what? Yeah.
If. You.
Yeah. What? You. Every day we. He knocks the pop.
If the.
Yeah. Well, but yeah.
Hey,
Well, you.
since you're not in Howard, you.
Well, maybe so, but you thinks it's like the. I mean.
We definitely should give a huge shout out to Peter Chan, and yeah, I'm still jealous of that guy.
Chan the man.
I know. Just when those packages would come, it would just be like Christmas, and you'd open, you'd see those, and you just think, oh man, and he's a nice guy too,
The weird
happy
thing about
family.
that was I never experienced like the delivery of the package
Oh.
firsthand. but I still got excited about
Yeah.
it.
No, they're beautiful, and he's such a sweetheart. And I'm sorry, Garv. This is the set that you had to build
This is
twice.
Garov's, right?
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
the one.
This was the gift that
And
kept
it's
on
actually
giving.
very beautiful, I might add.
Yes. Well, a second time is.
Two
yeah.
kind. Yeah, the second time I can.
But I'm sorry. You were saying that was a real building.
Yeah, yeah.
Where was that in Spain? Was that
I think it's in Paris. I think.
Oh.
And I remember seeing a photo of it and being like,
Oh.
"Wait, Peter."
No. Good artist borrow, great artist steal.
Lola? What are you describing? Except to take for oh. Shh.
Come on, sugar. How
Oh, you're in.
if my
Don't be. He loves me. Manny, at last, tell me. Oh.
Miss,
You do?
I'm a.
That's because she fell out that
You think Nick?
Oh.
Little dark.
dark.
Open.
It all
You know,
read, but then I just.
maybe it would help.
Oh man, read poet.
You can have
Yes. Why are you?
Johnny.
You're paid.
Well,
Keep practicing that lingo, man.
And then for some reason, I was always really interested in beatniks. Beatniks and Reds. I think because it was so foreign to me, like the Red Scare was not part of my actual life, but it always seemed like this thing is, it's hard, it's funny. It was always funny to me to imagine how passionate people were about that, how big
Oh,
of a
yeah.
deal it was for them. And it was always so, but if from a safe distance, it was just kind of entertaining. Like, oh wow, people are like, were really concerned about communists everywhere and unions and.
No, I remember there were, when I was a little kid, there were people would still talk about communist plots in all seriousness. Yeah.
Mesdames et messieurs, faites vos jeux s'il vous plaît. Ladies and gentlemen, please place your bets.
Mind if I sit down, Charlie?
Of course not, Manny. I mean, it is your club.
Chowchilla Charlie.
Oh yes.
That name comes from an actual person I know who was from Chowchilla, which no one remembers anymore. But when I was a kid, an entire school bus full of children was kidnapped in the town Chowchilla. Do you remember that? In
No.
California.
Wow.
A school bus full of kids was kidnapped, and the people demanded ransom. And it was crazy to think about. It was on the news. It was
Jeez.
Chowchilla. Everyone was talking about this kids, and eventually they were found and rescued, and I don't believe they were hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So I can talk about that story now. And
Yeah.
all the kids went home. But and then years later, I just a friend of ours was dating this guy named Charlie, and he was from Chowchilla, and I was like, oh wow, were you on the bus? He was like, no, I was sick that day. I was sick. I didn't go to school that day, and so I didn't get kidnapped.
Wow.
And we always referred to him as Chowchilla Charlie.
Wow.
And he's now in the game as Chowchilla Charlie, even though his personality is not as sleazy as this character. He was a fine, outstanding, although very lucky guy.
Yeah.
But this is our Peter Lorre character.
Right. So what are you doing?
Isn't that... He was strict. Hey, give that maybe... What? Hey, so Matt...
So no How about... Can you make... I don't...
They won't let me in there anymore. There should be a safe somewhere in the wine cellar, and my suitcase should be in it.
And you can get me a card tonight.
If you make it back, Manny, the card will be on the table.
Le numéro gagnant, le 5, rouge, Impere Bank. 5, red, house pays all winners, le banque paye.
Manny! I have a note for you.
Lola.
Yes. Where? Oh, here. No, wait. I just keep... No, be here. Wait a second. There was some... Yeah, they messed up my whole system!
I think we're going to come up to Garv's set that I destroyed. That I destroyed 2 weeks of Garv's work by trying to learn how to 3D model, and somehow I ended up erasing 2 weeks of his. I think we're going to come up to Garv's set that I destroyed. That I destroyed 2 weeks of Garv's work by trying to learn how to 3D model, and somehow I ended up erasing 2 weeks of his work. Because it was the fish place that you had to redo.
Oh yeah, the elevator.
Yeah, the elevator and that place with the fish.
It's strange, the characters in this game don't like to go into crowded areas, almost as if it's too hard to render them.
Monkey, cat what is waffle, big furry bastard.
I'm not sure what I hate more, crowds or cats, but I'm definitely not going near either one today. Hey! Looks like a great night for cat
Cats
races.
racing. We were always so sad that we never showed the cat races, but that was for budget reasons. Obviously, we didn't want to cut the actual cats, but I wanted to have giant cats running on a track like that.
And the idea of a cat's racing being herdable enough to race is pretty. Why cats?
Why cats? There was a. God, I don't remember. Why cats? That's a good idea.
I mean, I just remember making the music going well at some point, because you're near the kitty litter.
You have 15 minutes to place your bets.
You know, there's all these background scripts that do things as you enter a room. It's like start all these scripts when you enter the room, like that do all these background actions. Then when you leave the room, it's just to stop all those scripts. And it was all, left to chance because it left to programmer error. And there was one. So we were just talking about this earlier. There's a script that runs the cat races, and it runs the announcer for the cat races. And it actually, true to Tim's attention to detail, he wanted it to actually simulate cat races. And
there
actually,
are actual cat races going on.
There are cats that are being raced, and the same name will show up, and you'll hear this cat getting ahead of the other one. I think Chris Purvis did that.
Yeah, and the odds are real. The winnings are real. It is.
Yeah, Manny's wallet fills up, and of course no. The cat races are running, and so it's in the background. The announcer's running, and it's the simulation of these cat races being run. And yeah, they never killed that script. So you play the rest of the game from the cat scene, and the cat race simulator script is always running.
Yeah. Yes, from the moment the cat races start to the end credits of the game,
the cat race,
the cat race simulation is going on in the background.
There are still kitties racing today.
Yes.
Tuesday is Kitty Hat Day.
How big were those when you drew them? Like the posters and the murals and stuff?
We could actually work rather big.
Did you have Photoshop back then?
We had Photoshop, but I don't know if we had layers back then. Or
we had layers.
I think we did. Oh yeah, we had layers, but maybe
Paul
only.
just didn't know what they were.
No, but I think too. You only had one undo or maybe two undos.
Oh wow.
I'm sorry, monsieur, but... Here's my pass, Jean-Claude. Now shut those doors and drive.
Oui, monsieur. But actually, my name is Raoul.
Wake up! Hey, I'm trying to get... Sorry, don't mind me. Just passing through. To where? The elevator. Doubt it. Can't I go down to the cellar? It's a wine cellar. Wine goes down there. Maybe you could take me down now. Oh, yeah. I could take you down, but I can't heat customers anymore. No, down in the elevator. I want to go down in the elevator. That's true. They wouldn't see me hit you in there, but I still get in trouble. Why can't you hit customers anymore? Exactly. It makes no sense. Just open the elevator door. Then they really see us fighting. I don't want to fight. I just want to use the elevator. Chicken? How about a bribe? Look at me. What can you give to a guy who has everything? Going down? Probably. Later. Hey, let's beat up that waiter. Not a bad idea. But he's new. Give him a break. Okay. Nighty-night.
Well, I remember, speaking of VO, I remember you casting this, and then I remember you vanishing. Yeah. And you were gone for so long recording this?
Yeah, I was down in Actually, it was the only one time we rented an apartment rather than staying at a
Yeah.
hotel, because I was down in LA recording this for 6 weeks, and then I was bookended on either side with 2 weeks for 2 Lucas Learning projects.
Yeah.
And so it was.
Yeah, you just moved away.
Yeah, yeah. It's a long time.
Nick Virago. I would think.
I do.
Got a little lip.
I already got. So if I were you, I'd keep my jaw shut.
Everything all.
Yeah.
Who do you like in the fourth?
Well, there's a.
But you think he's gonna?
No. But. Me.
Nick,
You.
I'm stuck.
Who are you?
What's the difference?
So.
Nick.
Any.
The very.
And who would you?
You.
That's right. So.
House. Nah.
Well, I could. That sort of claim could say, especially
Max and
people. And I've got when I get.
Man, this is gonna get me in trouble. There's something rattled. Must be in a hidden compartment.
Speaking of database, I mean, that was really how we accomplished so much, right? Is from an organizational standpoint of the music, of the sound effects, and of the voice. And I remember, especially for voice, how critical it was. And what we in the sound department would do is inherit and share the use of the database with the voice department. And you could do a search and isolate all the lines for, say, Manny, or isolate all the lines that needed to have reverb baked into them, or another type of processing. And then you would just divide and conquer and just master everything in groups and bring it all together, have a single reference for volume, and use the database to keep organized and isolate different found sets of different criteria.
Wow, Manny Calavera.
Well, I thought you could use the company.
In that case, that's when I... Ooh. Sir, if... Oh, you're... Rats!
Her character's a little bit inspired by, I think it's Big Sleep too, where Bogart is hiding from someone. He needs to hide in a bookstore.
Right.
And he goes in there, and there's a woman in there, and she's really into him.
Tippa Ben-Hur 1863 edition, the one with the errata on page 47 or something.
Wow, that is a memory. Yeah.
Well.
And it's just really, he looks at her, and he's like, she seems like she's really attracted to him, if I remember correctly. and he like takes off her glasses and is like, yeah, okay. Like it was really kind of messed up scene. But
well, it's that that was the subtext
Yeah.
of the noir film.
and then he pulls the shades.
Hanky
to,
panky
Yeah, the
will
hanky
go
panky.
down.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
they lock the door and pull down the shades. And that's a little bit what this scene is all a
Mhm.
reference to or inspired by.
Because she's telling him her story.
What's that?
I don't know.
Unattended.
No, there was...
Oh my god. Give me that. It's a bomb! Ha ha! Wow. But here's...
A key.
Yeah.
I'm a strong believer in things that should be, when you're making stuff, it should be something that could only been made by you or in that group of people, and at the time you made it in the place you made it.
Yes.
You know. I think Grimm is definitely that case. Like that's one of the great things about Grimm. I think it's a collection of amazing artists like you and the visual artists and the programmers and the actors and everything that came together for that game was just such a was almost an overwhelming distraction of amazing artists coming together. Like oh my God, look at that background. Oh my God, listen to this
Yes.
music. Oh my God, listen to that voice. So I just I think it makes that game really special. But it also has a lot of personal details that are just kind of woven into it that makes it so like even if we were making this game from scratch with the same intentions today, it would just be completely different. I don't know why there's so much union jokery in games that I've worked on, but I've always found it maybe because it was a big part of like movies that air like on the waterfront, you know, and not so much unions, but mobster corrupt unions.
Right.
There's always a big part of that, you know, going on, and then also like worker, anti-worker, communist themes going on. Like it was all tied together. And I don't know if that all sprung out of On the Waterfront or other
Well,
movies.
On the Waterfront, though, was kind of, I mean, it was sort of championing the plight of the working man, but it also
he was
was
trying to
talking
get-
about the dark side of the union thing for sure.
But it was a corrupt union. It was
Yeah,
a
it was.
mob-run
Yeah,
deal.
that's true.
I remember at the time it was a big debate. Like, should we require P100 or P133? Like Penny 100, Penny 133. It's like, nope. Your target platform is whatever was on sale at CompUSA for $500 last year.
It's like a P70.
Yeah, it's like P60. I think is what we ended up with as the minimum spec. We ended up going for P90 at the end, but it was one of the things where it's like those kind of constraints where it's like you really could pull it off with all the kinds of machines we had in the company, but the average consumer who we wanted to sell the game to did not have a machine like that. So that's one of the vagaries of the PC market that still persists, you know.
Yeah, and you wouldn't, you know, when you think about Grimm, you wouldn't necessarily think, but there's like all hand-coded assembly rasterizers in here. There's hand-coded assembly blitters in here. Lots of like layout asset management. All you know, this was a tricky game to optimize and to get running acceptably on the kind of machines that people were going to be running it on. But it doesn't, you know, it doesn't come off like the same technical challenge as a Jedi Knight or something like that. And it wasn't. I mean,
it's different kind of technical challenge, much more kind of interdisciplinary.
It was really getting all this weird stuff happening at the same time.
This key doesn't work there. Can I?
You, this is... Okay, okay. Hold on. 22, lang... Here it is! Oh,
What?
This...
That's it? Thanks.
What?
I don't suppose there was a... I'll tell you tomorrow. There's a little slip of paper in one of the pockets. All that this paper says is number 36, the rusty anchor. What is that supposed to mean? All that this paper says is number 36, the rusty anchor. What is that supposed to mean?
Ooh, a request. Rusty anchor. Rusty anchor. Yeah, I think I know that one. If I remember right, it goes a little something like this. Oh, my boat's got a rusty anchor. Rusty as she can be. Every port I go, I drop her, but she always come back to me. Oh, rusty anchor, going down, down, down. Oh, rusty anchor, guess I gotta hang around. Now I love that rusty anchor, but man, she don't love me. Hell, this morning I woke to find us both a-drifting out to sea. In every chance I get, I thank her for never leaving me. Well, my bones are carved up driftwood, but she won't never set them free. Oh, rusty anchor, going down, down, down. Oh, rusty anchor, guess I gotta hang around. Well, what'd you think?
I thought you were created just to drive.
Well, over the years, you know, even a demon dabbles here and there.
You get a special award for playing the Rusty Anchor song.
I secretly wanted to sing this one, you know. I did a demo for you, remember?
Yeah, this is one of the things, much like Cabbage Boy, that we wrote together.
Yep.
I wrote the lyrics, and then you came up with the tune and then changed the lyrics a little bit to actually make them more musical. My boat's got a rusty anchor.
Yeah.
Oh, rusty anchor, going down, down.
To it. Rusty anchor's got to stink around. I said stink around, it's stick around.
My wartime communications, he's been but maybe later. Yes. Well, maybe just a sip. I don't think I could swallow any more metal right now. I don't think I could swallow any more metal right now. think it's good for much except getting into the High Rollers Lounge. Check out this. Can you I don't think there are places in...
I don't know. I
Really?
Because of my...
Gladys? Compadre? Well, maybe just a sip.
Sir, if... You sure you're not paying?
Nothing that...
Then, sir, I'm afraid... And of course, with my dad being in the military, I remember this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, acres and acres of fig
Hey,
trees
Carl,
everywhere
that's
you
an
looked.
awfully nice metal detector you have.
Did you just come back here to ask to borrow my metal detector?
Yes.
What is it with you in this thing? I'm sick of it, Manny. If this is all you want, you... Why is it all men are after the same thing? Except you. The only woman you care about is that I don't know what she did to you, but you know what? I'm...
Carla. Bye, Carla.
Drop dead!
Fucci. Well, my scythe. I like to keep it next to where my heart used to be. Aha! A little stinky, but it could be worse. Hey, did I ever tell you guys Salvador? You're also right. What is what? I can't walk. Viva. Oh. Would you cats mind knocking? What's that? Looks like a turkey baster.
That monster upstairs is running me ragged. Oh, but monsieur, je suis très désolé. There are no... I must...
In a minute, Raoul.
Oh, please don't do that. I do not like the... Look, I have no... If I don't get these drinks...
You got it!
That ought to keep the food from getting away.
It is very bad that you are... Hello? Hello? Could some...
Let me out of here! Oh,
That's a good cat. Hey, I'm... That's...
There's no opening up here.
Come on! Punch it, buddy! That's a good cat.
It says revolutionary design leaves Ken edges safe and smooth for Kitty.
Pretty bad, pretty bad, pretty bad, pretty bad, pretty bad. Pretty bad, pretty bad. Well,
So this is one of the parts of the game where a huge amount was cut out. There was supposed to be a gigantic action sequence like there was in all of, I think we cut it with giant action sequence out of every year, but there was a gigantic action sequence where there was an animal called the Dillopede that guarded the bottom of the elevator. It was a giant armadillo, and the Dillopede was there to kind of snap at Manny as he came down. There's this whole sequence where you had to kind of, you had the Dillopede hanging by some elevator cable, and he was snapping at you, and you had to swing on him or something like that. And it's just the idea of a giant vicious armadillo still sticks with me. But it was one of those things where it's like, you look at the context of the game, and it's an adventure game, and the budget's short, and we're already going to be a huge game. What purpose is it serving the game? So we had to cut a lot of stuff out like that just was really cool and fun to design, but ultimately not critical to the game, and was going to be really expensive.
our first 3D game, and it's funny to see how many puzzles are about the physical properties of things, as opposed to in a 2D adventure game, you would never make something based on the shape of something or leverage. Like that whole puzzle was very physical. Like you had to move these two objects and stop them from sliding past each other, and the forklift jacked up on its back wheels. And I think we were just so excited to be in a world of physical stuff, or maybe because we were in a world of physical stuff, we had to actually make it physically realistic.
I think this is one of my first sets. Oh, yeah, I remember this is, both of those were, well, it was one of the first ones that I ever modeled. And again, it was very simple geometry.
Dios mío, it's full of double-end tickets. This could get 100 sold. I get the...
All right, Manny. Give me the...
Charles.
No, we do.
What's the matter? Can't afford to hire goon?
I'm older.
You said it, Got a card for me?
Here.
Don't forget the... All that this paper says is number 36, the Rusty Anchor. What is that?
The Rusty Manny. I usually don't do the old stuff, but... Wind pierces my hull. An iceberg. A needle. Sweet, whispered nothings. Sail tonight.
A storm.
This deathbed harbor by love's rusty anchor. Forever moored.
I'm not sure what that means.
Thanks.
Just a day. Hey, man, you didn't see me. Relax. Yeah.
In the final version of the game, are the backgrounds actually just pre-rendered flats?
Yes, they are.
See, that's amazing to me because we live in the world of 3D now. We're used to floating the camera around inside of these things, but once you chose your camera angle to pre-render something, that was it. there you go.
No, it's Manny walking around in a blank 3D room with Z-depth data to clip him in front of the stuff that he needs to clip in front of.
There it is. That's a...
To some extent, Grim Fandango is a bit of a mutt. It's got pieces of Jedi Knight, it's got pieces of Scum, it's got pieces of Outlaws, it's got pieces of, it's got IMUS coming in, and it's got the Lua language. So it was a game kind of made on a shoot, for all the technical challenges in it. A lot of pieces were sort of pre-existing, and kind of it was a matter of maybe a new era of game development where you don't write everything from scratch, but you kind of put it together in the best possible way.
Well, and one of the side effects of that was, since we had pretty robust solutions to video playback and rendering and art pipes in front of us, it really, a lot of the effort, aside from just making everything, all the blocking and tackling working, was spent in on how to making games like this convenient and producible and artist friendly. And you had built some tools that were really unlike the things that appeared in RenderDroid or Smush or some of the technologies it was built on. So it's a bit of a mutt in that we borrowed a bunch of really great technology, but there's also a lot of really innovative stuff.
One thing for a sound designer or for a composer, when the story is great and the writing is great and the pacing is great, whether it's a film or a game, you can't help but weigh in a successful way yourself, because there's this flow already and you're just participating with it and enhancing it. One of the jobs of a composer, especially in a game like this, a lot of time passes, and you need to both entertain the listener and provide musical interest, but it has to also last for a very long time without being tiresome. And I think Pete did a great job at striking a balance between a great deal of musical interest, but also kind of hanging back and taking its time and letting the story unfold, letting the player concentrate on the game.
I love how all the characters have very distinct voices that match their personality and their look. Like, how much would Tim give you direction, and how much was your direction influencing?
Well, like, ideally, when you go through the process, you have character pictures along with the audition copy, and we would send that out to the various agencies, and the auditions would come back, and the process kind of does that for you, because you're listening to the auditions and you're looking at the picture, and you narrow it down to a handful of candidates, and then sort of we'd sit down with Tim and just go through them and go, sometimes there's only one choice. You just know it.
Right. It's just so great.
Yeah.
All of them.
What you do is you cast for like the major characters, and then you use that same talent pool with a lot of the smaller characters, and so that's why Kay is, he was cast for Velasco, but then the croupier just was one of those that's like, okay, well, that fits, he works.
So you let the actors pretty much kind of come up with their character as well when they look at the picture?
Yeah. Well, definitely. Like for those secondary characters, they're totally undefined when you're in the studio, and so you just kind of sit there, look at the picture, look at the lines, talk about it, just set a dialogue voice in, and then go.
I just create. I love it. It's just creative everywhere. Like through the whole thing. Like not just with us, but even with the actors and stuff like that. And you really are like watching a movie.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
And you really want that relationship between sort of the voiceover director and the actor to be collaborative and allow them the freedom to bring stuff to the table and try things, and it just adds a lot.
It's empty. He'd notice if I took it, and he's bigger than me. Eh? Who is over there? He'd notice if I took it, and he's bigger than me. He'd notice if I took it.
When I am done with Naranja here, that too big.
And so that guy, Toto Santos, which is the name of All Souls Day, that was one important casting thing that meant so much at the time. And I love The Usual Suspects.
Yes.
And there's a burn victim in the very beginning of the game, a guy who was burned on the ship.
Right.
And he's in the bed, and he's the first guy who says, "Guys are so safe."
Right.
Is this Hungarian or Polish?
Yeah,
guy?
yeah.
And we got that actor to do Toto Santos' voice because I was like, I want him to sound like that guy from Usual Suspects. And so if you listen to him, he's
That's
just
awesome.
Like, I wanted to have him say, "Guys are so safe."
Who is over there? Me a poco, but look, you broke. No. Nemazogia, hold still. Matari dead. Kaifa, wake, race. What kind of sail can't? What you the Osgon on? Well, let's go. Toto, I got your boy Naranja here. MIA he is. Well, he's sobered up. I send him to Limbo. Yeah. He'll make it there by morning. Promise. Oh, yeah. That is what I told him. Are you kidding me?
I don't think that would shed any light on things.
Hang on. You mean beside the song, Sure. Let's see. Hey.
My friend Lola left.
Oh, yeah. Like to tell her.
Right.
I gave him the idea in first place.
Let's see what you got on you.
Tiger can't
sailor?
change his stripes.
Seaman Anselmo
So, you
Naranja,
still
ensign
going?
3rd class. Doesn't look like you'll be showing up to work in
Hey,
the morning.
listen to me. You got to take care of yourself. Yeah.
Late night at the... You know I can't sleep if I...
Oh, membrillo. My brother actually makes membrillo, which is a quince jelly that you eat with cheese. Membrillo means quince. Well,
It
you
sure
looking
doesn't
at me
sound like it.
Membrillo.
Oh, membrillo, that's different.
Yeah. What'd you think I said?
Are you sure you're looking? Look, I'm doing the best I can, but the average retirement age...
How was the lighting handled on the characters in each environment? Does anybody remember that?
I think, however, we were able to set up a couple of lights. I think that was it. I mean,
wasn't there some information that you guys would take the set? Because didn't we have to save a copy of our sets with, like, you know, the key light and the fill, or just I thought we would save a version of the very simple.
That's possible, yeah, as a like a starting place, but I mean it was all very kind of rudimentary.
And you had to be really strategic with, you know, what is the best use of a minimal amount of lights to accommodate the character in the entire scene that he's got to be in.
Yeah, there was no, I mean, for all this stuff, there was no roadmap or procedure for like, oh, this is how you do 3D forests or light character. I mean, we had to make everything up and solve every problem to get everything to happen pretty much in this. So there's a lot of just on the fly, different people figuring stuff out per scene, how to make something work. And as a result, some things work better than others.
Would a metal detector help the car? Hey. You never know. Oh. Huh. What? Velasco, it looks like I've got one of your boys. A sailor. Naranja. What? How? Sprout? But, sailor. Yeah. Oh, I fought but and the we but soon. Hello?
Betting?
What? Interested?
In the right.
Here you go.
Hey, this...
Well...
Ah.
There you are.
What? Big. Thanks, pal.
Glad I... I think that... Don't you? Doug? Oh, that... Personally, I think...
I think these are the workers. The work.
That's what I... Who will...
Post time, no more bets.
You can do it! Yeah! You're doing it!
It's Lola's last work. A juicy photo of Nick and Olivia kissing. Look what I found at the photo finish booth. Looks like Naughty Kitten and Bad Tomcat are neck and neck.
What do you want?
I want to tell you a sad story of a young man unjustly imprisoned merely for speaking his mind.
It's time to shake up the hive!
I guess our business...
Almost.
What?
No, that was just... I don't have time to get you for Lola.
You didn't have time. But don't feel... I hear...
So this is one of the parts in the game that was very inspired by Gilda. You ever seen Gilda? Rita Hayworth.
No.
It's a great. It's a
So Tim created a character, which I very much appreciate. I love her. Her name is Lupe, and she happens to be a little bit based on me and my idiosyncrasies. And so when I remember one time we were hanging out, and he told me, he's like, see, how can you tell me that I don't understand our relationship? Like, I can write about it. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he said, see, she's super organized. Nobody listens to her, but she has a lot of really important things to say. And see, we need her, and that's what you realize.
That's awesome.
So I was like, oh, I love you. And she does karate kicks. that was the best, like, because I like to punch people. And so if you notice, sometimes, I don't know if they have it in here, but she punches in the air. She does air punches.
That's awesome. She was really easy to cast because I had such a great frame of reference for her.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
So this is one of the parts in the game that was very inspired by Gilda. You ever seen Gilda? I think Rita Hayworth.
No.
It's a great
I'm gonna
noir
go home and
movie.
see it now.
It's amazing, and it's the scene that you always see when they show Rita Hayworth, where she just flips her hair up and says, "Who, me?"
I don't know.
So anyway, it's about it's set in a resort town where there's a casino, and the main character, there is the main character is working at a casino, and there is this kind of corrupt local law enforcement officer who shows up every night. And the way he gets paid off by the casino to not busted is that he always comes and bets on number 2 at a certain table, and then they always give him his money, and number 2 always wins and stuff. And so that, I think it's the same number in this game. We always use number 2.
Please place your bets. Mesdames et messieurs, rien ne va plus. Les jeux sont faits. Ladies and gentlemen, betting is closed. No more bets, please. Le numéro gagnant, le 27, rouge, entre et passe. 27, red. Mesdames et messieurs, faites vos jeux s'il vous plaît. Ladies and gentlemen, please place your bets. Mesdames et messieurs, rien ne va plus. Les jeux sont faits. Ladies and gentlemen, no more. Le numéro de train noir entre cette black house, le bas. Mesdames et messieurs, ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et les jeux, ladies and no more.
We stole a lot of the really good things out of Scum and kept them. We kept the idea of the chore tool, which I just called chortle, but they had cyst and bile and all these bodily humor flavored tools from Scum. Cyst, bile, phlegm, mucus, and we kept, but there are analogs, like the chore tool is the really big one, but it's the analog to what they did in Cyst, which was the costume editor for all the other adventure games. And we kept those paradigms. You know, they manipulate 3D elements and 2D elements and movies and things together on one timeline, but that really is harkening back to exactly what they were doing in the 2D game. So
Lucas is remembered for the great art and the funny writing and all of that, but it's all built on just
tech.
Amazing tech.